So here we are on the Vision Train with an awesome crew of 42 artists all over the world tuning in to have a little conversation here with our dear friend Xavi. And I'm excited about this. It's a fun little opportunity, and that's all this life really is, right? We take opportunities and we get creative and with the situation. And I haven't talked to my friend Xavi here in a while. I feel like it's, he sent me a photo from like 2013 just earlier that I posted on Instagram, and I was like, wow, we've been around the block for sure. And
I remember where we met.
you do?
Yep.
Okay, where did we meet, Xavi?
We met in the Dome at Entheon Village at Burning Man in 2007 when I was live painting and you were hanging around, and somebody was like, "That's Amanda Sage." Like, who's that?
I didn't know anybody yet then. Like,
Right.
literally, that was my first time going to Burning Man, 2007.
Yeah, that's when you showed up on the scene.
That's when I showed up on the scene. It was the only people I knew was Andrew Jones and Robert Venosa and Martina Hoffman. And Martina was, I think, the one, and Robert, that were like, you should come camp with us at this camp. And
Straight to the top of the visionary pyramid.
that was so much fun. It changed my life. My dreadlocks started there. I had the time of my life. I got married at Burning Man that year. Did you know that?
No.
Do you know well, then you wouldn't know who I got married to either.
Know me?
Yep. Nomi's going to come on as a guest soon. He's an epic artist, amazing artist.
Yeah. I've been visiting with Nomi because he has family here, and so he comes through occasionally.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, prolific artists. I mean, I'm just, that opened up this whole world of this epic, prolific scene of, it was a culture that I think was what so impacted me, that was so exciting to find a community that felt really synchronistic. And yeah.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I know, and here we are, 2020. It's like 13 years later, right? We're almost at Burning Man. So the time, this would be the time normally when everybody's getting ready to go out to the desert. Yep. But this year, nope, here we are. We're all online. And that's really exciting too, because it's opening new vistas and new worlds. And so Xavi, should we dive in and look at some of your art?
Sure.
I would love. Mark, you were there that year as well. 2007, right? Remember that huge explosion? It was the biggest non-military explosion ever. I was in the front row. It left an impression, that's for sure. All right, so Xavi, we're going to look at your website, and I'm really excited to share your work with people that aren't familiar with it, and
cool.
And to kind of see, and hear some stories. I got to say straight up though, first of all, you and stories and you and dreams. You have some of the most epic dreams I have ever heard come from anybody. And
wow.
I had firsthand account. I remember at the Temple of Visions in Los Angeles. Remember you were staying up at my place, and
yeah, super haunted up there.
It's downtown LA.
Nightly ghost hauntings up there.
Oh man, they don't visit me like they visit you, I guess.
Yeah, they come after me.
So Xavi, tell us, give us a little, if somebody's listening in that they don't know, you know, like give us a little background, just a little bumper, kind of like Xavi in a like, what's your inspiration? When did you become an artist?
Well, I think I was always an artist. I just was started getting really into drawing in elementary school, young, and then never stopped. But I never was really conscious of it. I just did it all the time. But then when I out of elementary school, when I discovered graffiti art, was when it ignited like a mystical passion that was like a symbolic force of gravity pulling me towards it. And so that's when I first experienced feelings of deep like obsession with this art form and a sense of identity with it, where I knew that it was my life purpose. Um, and that was what I was 100% about morning, day, and night. You know, and so I think graffiti art is really what got me to launch into art. And then I was fortunate in having supportive parents and go to a good high school with a great art teacher that nurtured my development in the high school years. So, I mean, that has you know, a great deal to do with how the cultivation occurred, you know, in a healthy way. But then high school is when I started going to raves, and the experience of dancing that, you know, is a really primal hypnotic experience. And that started feeding my visions. So on the dance floor, I'm experiencing these high vibrational energies through the music and physically dancing, and it it transformed my graffiti into what didn't have a name at the time, a kind of art movement that didn't have a name at the time, because this was in the mid 90s, but we call it visionary art style now. But back then it didn't, that genre wasn't a thing, you know, except for Alex and Benosa and other older people. But us kids were just kind of channeling this new energy, and we didn't really know what to call it. But yeah, the techno and the dance is what made my graffiti turn into this vibrational energy type work.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, the visual, the sound, the culture.
Yeah. Yeah. So I basically, I wanted my work to look like what I was seeing in my mind. I was feeling these energies synesthetically. So I'm seeing them and tasting it, and it's like this living life force energy that is so colorful. And mind you, I wasn't doing drugs on the dance floor. I was straight edge at every rave I ever went to. So this is just natural feelings. So I was trying to capture the energy. I wanted to make visual music, basically. This is a good one from around that time period.
Yeah, that's what I felt like I was gonna go search for one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. So I painted that when I was 19. That was like 98, 97, 98. And there was no, I didn't know of this kind of art at that time. I was just, suddenly I was really into fantasy visions of eternal paradises. And I was obsessed with the idea of the evolution of the soul into higher dimensions of existence for eternity in an ever increasingly expansive levels of the multiverse. And so I was really hot for that kind of sort of inspiration around that time. So I was trying to put myself into the higher dimensions by painting it.
That's beautiful. You know, like I feel like there's so much association, especially today, around visionary art and psychedelics. And I find it really important to So not, well, to expand that, you know, that of course it's a influential, psychedelics and entheogenic, you know, substances, but but you can access that in other ways. And you're like you're one of those artists that do, you know, and always have.
Well, you know, like the mind is really mysterious territory, and psychedelics unlock things. And for some people, like it's like some doors are already blown open, and you don't want to blow them open too much, you know, just for your own safety. So I was always just so sensitive and kind of trippy as it was. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention someone asked. So this painting right here is actually an acrylic painting on canvas. It's about 5 feet by 3 or 4 feet, and I freestyled the whole thing with no sketch with airbrush first, section by section, and then I painted in the details with paintbrush on top of it, and then did a lot of glazing. And it took, you know, probably a year of painting to get done. But I had to go off and on for, you know, times when I wasn't able to work on it. But I was listening to a lot of Enya when I painted this.
Nice.
Major Enya times on there, and a lot of ambient drum and bass. That pretty much all ambient drum and bass and Enya on that whole painting.
Amazing.
Yeah, and like you see at the very top row is those symbols. So that was, a lot of people know me for these symbols that I used to stencil on people's clothes. And that was kind of the first iteration of me discovering this idea of symbols. And it was kind of a different variation on the idea of language or identity or the self, you know, like which ties into graffiti, because graffiti is like you're writing your name and you're doing your signature. So I kind of like how those two are connected. You can just kind of ponder that, you know, when you're thinking artistic thoughts. And so yeah, those are little different star family symbols is what I liked calling them.
Where does this painting live now?
It actually lives with Manuel and Ildiko up on top of Island Mountain in Humboldt on their property. They got a sunray built temple up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, where are we going here? It just took me somewhere else. This is going through time. This is a live.
Yeah, so Amanda, to navigate, you have to mouse back up to the top left corner where you can vaguely see the Xavi. Yeah.
This is a pretty sexy website, to be honest.
Thanks. Well, Fong designed it, and it's me and Andrew Jones and Fong's idea of a website theme. It's called the Art Droid theme, but I'd wanted my website to have this format, so all the work is right there. And then Fong and Andrew developed it over time, and this is the format we use for our website. And you can also download the Art Droid WordPress theme if you like the way this website feels for your work too. Everyone out there.
That's a really great note. So it's a WordPress.
Yeah, called Art Droid.
Awesome. Right there. You can see it, Art Droid.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, where should we go first? What do you think? Should we go back to paintings or?
Let's go back to the visionary art stuff, since this is a visionary art crowd.
Well, we're all kinds of things here.
Yeah, go down to that one podular manifestation.
This is probably one of the first pieces I remember seeing of yours.
Okay, yeah. So I never studied figurative painting, so I'm terrible at figures, but I did my best.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so this is 2006 when I painted that. It's acrylic on canvas, and it's about 8 feet by 5 feet. the original, and it took about a year of full-time work to paint, and it's insanely detailed. It's like the most detailed big scale canvas painting. I mean, most of that painting was done with a brush this big, like a tiny little brushes for basically the whole entire thing. And this was another kind of journey into a hyperspace paradise dimension where we're, at that time, a lot of us we're really into imagining other dimensions and trying to envision ourselves in these places. You know, all you can do is imagine them, you know, because we're here on Earth. So, you know, we're left to our imagination to kind of create these otherworldly paradises. And that's what I want to do. I only want to paint realms of light. So kind of places beyond the dualistic universe. And these kind of light being spirits in there. Also, I should mention this was around the time that the ayahuasca ceremonies kind of hit the West Coast and started getting popular. So the influence from ayahuasca culture came into the scene around that time. And so that was a big influence on this piece. It kind of cranked up the psychedelic factor on all of our work. Yeah, it really kind of got the vibrational amplitude up. If it wasn't already super up, you know, we were definitely trying to see how trippy we could get and how complex and sort of maximalistic. So like most of my work that I do today professionally is in the design space, and it's quite minimalist, which I enjoy deeply on like some Zen philosophical type level. But I think it's only because I spent so many years going so maximal that I like kind of achieving powerful states with fewer things.
Well, that seems to be something that many artists come to as they mature, right? Because the beginning, you're very much like pushing the boundaries. You got to fit it all in. You have to, you know, you have to do that too. But I think over time, you become also more sensitive and interested in reducing it down to more minimalism in many ways.
Yeah. Well, I was never interested in doing that when I was told about that by older artists, because it was like they were telling me that I should be doing that, and I didn't feel that. So it was only when it naturally started happening in me, I was experiencing deeper feelings about what I was working on than I ever did before. And I think that's what was causing it. It was a natural deepening kind of sense. It was like a quiet voice talking, whispering, that was pulling me towards that minimalist experience.
Xavi, I have to ask because, you know, the kind of painting that I do and also the lineage that I teach, the Mish technique, I see these areas here, you know, like this, you have a lot of colors going on and some glazes. Did you ever study the Mish technique? Did you ever?
No, I automatically started painting that way. When I started doing canvas paintings, I just would paint everything in almost in like just a light and a dark. Like if I was doing a plant, I just would paint it in one color, and then I just was glazing on top of it, because I always airbrushed, and airbrush colors are transparent. So glazing was an automatic thing that happened. I never knew that that was a thing.
Yeah.
And so I was already doing what basically was the Mish technique, and for years before I found out about it.
Yeah.
But it's because of those transparent airbrush colors that I got into glazing.
Well, it's just so, yeah, it's just so effective. And I know so much of your art is, you know, it's not representational for the most part, unless you go really back far like this. But like the subtleties of all the colors in there, I'm just drinking it up. It's part.
Yeah, well, well, that's what I was saying. I was trying to reach that juicy synesthetic state that's really hard to put into art and words, you know.
Yeah.
I
Can I
wanted it
go?
to seem as alive as possible, just completely alive.
Modular manifestation. How do I go back to just the painting?
Scroll back to the top and click in the top left of the screen.
Okay. To go all the way back.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, there's a bunch of new stuff in there. Actually, click on guiding light.
Ooh.
So this is an example of a period I went through because of stenciling. And I even started stenciling because it was a fun way to make money at festivals. I started getting really into making stencils and spraying them on clothing to make clothing and costume type stuff. But then that stencil technique kept evolving off of the clothing and costume and onto the canvas. And so over the years, I developed this process of layering upon layering of stencils. And so around the late, you know, around like 2010 to 12, in that general time period, I was only making complex paintings out of layered stencils and spray paint. And I pretty much ditched illustrative, figurative work around that time. And I kind of never really went back.
Yeah.
So you can see the progression out of illustrative work and into design work. And I think the stencil process had a lot to do with that, because like I'll get an obsession and I'll just go with it for years, and then I'll get obsessed about something else and go with that for years, and then, you know, I'm just kind of following what is inspiring me at the time, you know.
Totally.
But yeah, so this is stencil and spray paint, lots of layers.
Yeah, I remember you. Well, you've also done so much installation work, um, and like I remember at the Boom Festival, like we were there probably. I've been 3 times, and I think
2010, 12, and 14.
yeah, we were there at the same time. This is in Portugal. This is like a totally different. It's the biggest psytrance festival in the world.
Yeah, that stuff is on the website if you scroll up. Yeah, we went to Boom in 2006 and got our minds blown, and we were there via the Canadian contingency of NASCO and Delvin and CJ and that whole Elvish group. So yeah, that's 2006 was the first year I did installations at Boom, and it was a lot smaller then. This was our first time out there kind of proving ourselves to their scene, because they already had a really big developed scene, and what we didn't know was their festival decor was already at this gargantuan level that we never really have seen before. So it really inspired us to take it to the next level. So I think that's what pushed us to want to do these big installations. Like if you do Boom 2012, that was a year that was the first year that they gave us the main dance temple, and it's a real experience in teamwork, because you're creating something that's so big that it literally requires a huge team, multiple teams of people to create all this stuff, and in different departments, you know. And so yeah, it's a really fun experience getting to do that. And then everybody comes and dances at the end. It's like you're at a month-long art summer camp making the projects on site. You don't show up with the finished project, you actually make the work on site in the weeks before the festival, and then everybody is there to party at the end. So it's Boom was like our art summer camp.
It was ridiculous. I mean, this stage, I remember this stage, and I got to paint live on stage on this big mural piece, on Saturday night, which is like the big night, you know, the dance temple. And we collaborated with Alex Sestoke was there. It was Philip Liu and the tattoo artist and Titian. And
Yeah, that was when uh, Anderson DiBernardi came also. That was his first time there. And same with Alex Sestoke and Luis Tamani. Yeah, that was, those three guys all came their first time out at Boom. And that was the first time we'd ever heard of them and met them, was on site there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the workshop right there, making all the stuff.
Yeah, I remember Boom too just brought together so many more cultures than I knew from, say, being in the US at like Burning Man or something, you know, which there's a ton of different cultures too, but literally at Boom, there's a different language that you would hear within any earshot,
Yeah.
like 5 of them or something, you know, and
Well, and it really kind of opens your eyes about the global community, because you'd see some group of super cool looking kids that are, you know, dressed in a style that's not quite how we dress. And then you find out it's a whole crew and they're all from Macedonia, you know, or like Estonia, you know, it's like, it's not just France, Germany, and Spain, you know, it's like you meet people from a lot of different countries. I mean, there was people from 100 and I think it was 46 countries at Boom. Almost
yeah.
every country on the planet was represented there.
Mariana, who's in Brazil, I think Mariana's in Brazil. She wrote that there were she was there this year, I think more than 120 countries, but yeah, there could be.
So this right here, what you're showing is just some of the funnest art experiences I've ever had. And I feel so grateful that I was able to have that experience of Boom. And it's an art summer camp that you would dream of, you know, and such hard work. I mean, really pushed me past the point of what I thought I was capable of physically and mentally. And so it really is like a boot camp, and it's like a proving ground of yourself. What can you handle? How much, you know, can you handle work wise? So, you know, there's a lot of times during these installations where I'd have to go down to the lake and get in the lake and just pray to have the strength to finish this on time, you know, because I'm like gonna have an anxiety attack.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then
Yeah,
once
the Crystal Castle, that was huge. That was a lot of work. Physically rigorous beyond anything I could imagine, you know, but yeah, it's like a spiritual journey when you have to work that hard physically, and then you kind of reach an enlightenment by the end of it.
this is so crazy, this piece. What happened to this piece? Is it still around, or is it the different people have different pieces? What do they do with the art like this?
After the festival, they take it down and put it in storage, and a lot of it turns into kind of mix and match panels that they use for different things, but it's a one-time only occurrence that never goes back up. Well, this never went back up because this was too huge of an undertaking. So yeah, it's just for that week. So in a way, it's kind of like Burning Man, you know, you do that, that's the only time you're ever going to see it.
But when it happens, you know, when everybody shows up and the intensity of the moment, and like, it's just so worth it. I mean, it's like, I remember Boom was so hot. It was insane. Like the doing all the building, like Burning Man in many ways. And you question many times, like, am I totally crazy?
Am I crazy? Yeah, because you're working 14, 16-hour days in 100-degree heat for 4 weeks straight, and you just get super shredded and really tough by the end of it.
That's definitely a, you know,
everyone really is tan and in shape by the end of Boom.
Everyone's tan and in shape.
Yeah.
With lots of smiles.
It's so worth it. It's
Oh,
definitely just one of the best experiences I've ever had for sure. Yeah, I just thought I would throw in some of the sketches of it that I made. Because all of the concepting, designing, and everything like that for the piece is just done on site. And this was the year of the feminine, was the theme for Boom that year. So that's why you can see there's a female figure in the windows. And that kind of lioness figure with the heart on the forehead. So, you know, I like to throw in stuff like that.
yeah, that was the year that Shrine and I did that huge mural down in the gallery.
Yep, that's right. So you can see here, that mural was painted with stencils. So remember the stencil process I mentioned? Well, this project is taking the idea of stencils to a mammoth scale. So some of these stencils were 18 feet long by 6 foot wide. And we made this stripes stencil there, which was huge. So it was really fun to go that big with the process that you're working on. Pretty insane.
This is real counterculture, you know, and it's amazing though how like how renegade it was. So it's very pirate. It's like organized pirate activity.
It's really chaotic environment. It's really rough environment, and that's what I mean of how it tests you, what you can handle. And like, not only that, but it was like a pirate environment where you would come back to your workshop and your air guns would be gone because one of the different art camps came and pirated your air guns. And so you'd have to run. It became like territorial. You know, it's like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and Jen was there building these massive galleries. I remember the first one of them, 2010, right?
Yeah, and it was so cool because you'd be on one side of the festival working on this huge art installation, and then your friends are half a mile across the other site, across the site, working on their huge giant project, and you won't see them for like 2 or 3 days. And then you'll kind of meet up and share the progress that you made over the past few days. And that was really, really neat because there's so many different groups creating their most amazing work out there. So it really is, you know, pretty phenomenal.
Where was this done? Where's this piece?
That dome was here in Ashland, but it was later moved to Orcas Island for the person who bought it, but Orcas Island, Washington. But that was 2003. I got a commission to paint a dome. So I worked with the dome's CNC or CAD programmer, and we actually designed the entire thing in CAD. And the dome table, we robotically cut large scale stencils, the size and exact shape of each panel. And I sprayed the whole entire thing in panels before the dome was sewn together. And then when it was sewn together, it equals that piece.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
So
crazy.
that was pretty challenging, actually. But it was cool. The first time I ever saw the piece was when it was sewn together. I only had to spray it in sections, and I had to make sure that the gradients lined up. So it's like one panel goes down to a 35% gradient, and then the next panel, I have to make sure I start the gradient at the exact same pixel amount, so that when the thing is sewn together, the gradients look like actual gradients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, I remember this piece, this being a massive installation at the Temple SF, San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, this was my first massive interior design transformation and a permanent installation at Temple nightclub in San Francisco. They originally wanted a mural, but of course I talked them into doing a full-blown immersive environment instead, because why paint a mural when you can paint an immersive environment with lights and music and stuff moving and, you know, just go crazy. So this actually took 9 months of full-time work to complete. There was a builder that was helping me. A bunch of friends would come through at the very end to help me kind of get everything finished. But yeah, it was my first dive into sculpture work. So all of the three-dimensional things there, I sculpted out of, you know, foam and cardboard and different things I was finding. And that was really fun. I actually kind of like working in 3D a lot. I think I'm kind of a little better at 3D work than I am at painting. I have a much easier time with sculpture than with painting. So it was fun. You see those round things on the walls? Those were actually car hubcaps that I got at a car hubcap kind of warehouse in San Francisco. I went searching for the most mandalic, trippy hubcaps I could find. And then those had, I enlarged them with foam and did all this kind of sculpting. And then those actually had motors in the wall. So they rotate like clock gears. So it looked like these trippy kind of clock gears on the wall. And then that speaker is an actual speaker that goes to the sound system. So it played music in the room. You can see the speaker up there.
Here?
No, on the wall with the hubcaps. Yeah, that's the speaker there. There's speakers. So, and then we had a projector mounted up there that was shooting projection mapped graphics inside the Stargate portal. And that was in 2008. And projection mapping pretty much came out in like 2007 or 8. So we only just found out about that technology, which is you can project an image inside a specific shape on the wall. And for us, that was super mind blowing, and everybody wanted to jump on that ASAP. So, you know, you take it for granted in festivals and stuff now when you see projection mapping, but that only came around, you know, 10 years ago.
Hey, what should we look at next?
Let's see. How about some shipping containers?
That's what I was going to click on.
So another obsession. Wow. I got obsessed with shipping containers. The Doolab asked if I would paint a mural on a container. So, you know, you get presented with a challenge, and a lot of people will shy away from it because it's not a perfect situation, but I like to go into it and see how I can integrate the challenge into the piece. So with this, the Doolab, who does Lightning in a Bottle Festival, I was talking to them about painting a mural, and they said, well, we've got these shipping containers, but you know, we could put plywood over it for you so it's like a flat wall. And I was like, no, I want to paint on the container. Let me paint the container. And they're like, are you sure? The surface is really crazy. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point. And that was what first got me started on how do I design based on the architectural constraint. And so I was using the architectural constraint of the stripes to see what I can create within that. So with each container mural, it's strictly based inside this idea of the stripes. But how far can you evolve your designs within a constraint? And I really enjoy working that way. Yeah, with painting, it's a no. maximalist art, when you're creating on a blank canvas, there can be no constraints other than the technical constraints you put on your process. And a lot of times it's a completely wild thing. So I think it's fun to have that structure to go off of. And
I love,
still basically trying to do the same thing, capture the energy of vibration. It's a perfect metaphor for vibration, you know?
totally. I feel like you know, seeing this piece for an example, I feel like I would, like, I know your work for years now, but I would still like, I would totally see, I'd be like, this is Xavi. Xavi did this. It's so minimal. And I think that's, you've really achieved something when you get to a point like that. And the vibration, like the sound that's in it, you know, it kind of looks like sound waves almost in there, but it's like so simple, the design.
Well,
Yeah.
this piece was a commission by a couple, and they got their heartbeat EKG readouts, and they gave them both to me, and I combined them together to get the shape of the pulse of the orange pulse. And then so that's their combined EKG, and then we decided to go with the green because it was in a nature setting. And then the orange, because the orange goes really nicely with the green. So yeah, that's how we decided on the color strategy.
It's so cool, like how much story is actually behind them too, you know? And that's something that a lot of people don't get initially, but we're
Yeah.
getting here.
Yeah, this one I wanted to do like, I wanted this to be like when you're listening to music and it shows the sound. What's that called? The equalizer.
Mhm.
Shows the sound going like that. That's what I was going for with this one. And
Totally work.
I just get so excited about these shipping container murals. They're so fun.
Well, we just got we have 4 shipping containers that just got delivered down here on Joe Bob's property, and it's they're freight farms. So they've got food's going to be like microgreens will be growing in them all year round.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. They could use a paint job.
Yeah. Well, I got so into containers that I wanted to have them in my life more, or just have them um, not just at festivals. And so I actually have a studio series going right now of about 11 pieces, including circles that are on metal, and they are the metal siding that's in the same exact shape as the shipping container, but a more lightweight grade. And that's a secret project I'm working on in the studio right now. So they're wall-sized hangers, big and small, but they look like a chunk of a shipping container that you can hang inside somewhere or outside. That was this one right here was last year at Electric Daisy Carnival in Las Vegas, and I was going for full rave party time on that one. Super funkadelic graph shapes.
It's
Total party.
really messes with your eyes, like
Yeah.
in that good way.
Well, I'm playing with the idea of opposites, opposite colors, and creating a maximum. It gives you a maximum impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just gotten really into these big kind of vibrating abstract compositions. That's kind of where my heart is these days. Experiencing it large scale is similar to, for me, it's similar to the way I experience nature. Like if you go up to a really large tree or you meet a really large animal like an elephant or something, you're having a singular experience with just this one thing. It's a one single theme. It's not trying to be every single thing in the whole universe in one piece. It's just a one particular mood at a large scale so you can feel the presence of it.
Yeah, I would love to see. I mean, there's so many shipping containers out there, you know, when we that are being repurposed for many things, but we're going to need to use a lot of shipping containers when we get the train actually on the tracks, you know, to put all the
Yeah,
stuff in it. And they definitely are going to have to be painted.
cool.
You'll lead the cruise. Tommy.
Yeah, we can have a crew operation.
Yes.
Click on the Datascape triptych. So this is kind of this was sort of a test run. It was a commission for a tech office, but these pics are in my studio, and this was sort of a test run of my new process that I'm doing my studio work in these days, which kind of incorporates everything I've ever learned over the years into a kind of a process that I feel is one that I can explore for years to come, and that is designing things, drawing things, designing them, putting them into the computer, refining the design, projecting the design, and building a painting layer by layer with masking and layering and spraying and painting. So what you're looking at here is 3 separate layers that were all masked and sprayed to build up this final image. And you know, nature is obviously kind of the organic patterns of nature combined with patterns that I make up is kind of what is interesting me greatly these days in an abstract way. Like what happened was I used to get inspired by this and that visionary, you know, raves and dance and psychedelic sort of ideas. But then there came a point when just looking at the shapes of the branches on a bush or looking at the cracks in the ground, that started being more trippy and interesting to me than whatever I was thinking about internally. So I kind of, my inspiration kind of flipped to outside of me, and it was kind of, it's all just kind of coming from what I'm seeing in the world around me, where my inspiration never came from that when I was younger. It was always stuff inside that I was thinking of. But then kind of nature's patterns took over.
Well, that's the real psychedelia there.
So yeah, so click out of there and then go back up to get out of there and go back to the home page. So if you scroll down, you can see this piece that says quantum moment. So this is an example of kind of the current state of where my work is at, which is, I feel, the kind of sum total of all the stages that I've been through as an artist in the past. And I'm kind of getting to a point where it's kind of rebirthing itself into a new maximalized type of art that kind of has this minimalist base that gives it a stronger foundation. And so it's got the inspirations from nature. It's got the Technicolor inspirations from all the rave stuff, and the graphic inspiration of graffiti. And I'm trying to incorporate it all into a new, you know, blossoming style that is pretty abstract, but takes you back to that place beyond explanation, where I don't have words for what I'm seeing, because I'm going right past what I know, and I'm going into something unknown again. But I'm using a process. I know the process so well from practicing for so many years that now the process is yielding new unknown kind of artifacts, and every piece is a complete surprise. I have no idea what a piece is going to look like, but I'm following a process. So this is an example of a painting that would be done in studio, where I design it and draw it digitally first, and then I would turn this into a large scale painting layer by layer by layer by layer with meticulous masking. And I was thinking I probably will put a layer of varnish in between each layer before masking off the next layer, so that it's just, you know, because these works really have to be kind of museum quality when they're done in order to really stand up, you know, as a art object. Ultimately, they have to be kind of executed technically perfectly. So that's a huge challenge. So
I think, Xavi, I really like that idea of there being a varnish in between the layers. And it makes me think of some of the artists that do like significant amounts of varnish or, you know, epoxy kind of in between layers to
yeah,
have that kind of effect that's really 3D, you know? And it's like, it's interesting how the image itself, like we can look at this image and it's totally, I mean, it's so 3D. It's very, very, very strange. You know, it's like what's happening to my eyeballs.
I'm trying to still achieve depth through color relationships and spatial relationships. And there is a lot of constraints put on these pieces. And there's a lot of things that I don't allow, and there's certain things that I do allow, because that is kind of something I would have to spend a lot of time writing about probably. But like you can see that on certain layers, there's a drop shadow, like a bright orange drop shadow or the little green drop shadow there. On certain layers, I put a drop shadow on it because it really makes it pop out. So while I'm working in a super flat style that's technically design, it's not illustration. I am using little things like those drop shadows that kind of push you in the direction of illustrative space. So it still has some depth and it's not just completely flat like wallpaper. You know, like I want to bring the viewer back into other worlds and other dimensions that feel like a real space and not just a two-dimensional design.
So cool.
And then Lake Union, that's another example of my new work, which I don't post this stuff on my Instagram or Facebook. I only have it on my website because it's so new and fresh that I don't want to post it until I do the paintings. So I'm waiting to kind of till I can get some of these large scale paintings done. But I thought I'd put them up on my website.
So these are digital compositions?
Well, kind of, yeah. But the thing is that everything you're looking at, I drew by hand.
Uh-huh.
Some of the layers I draw on paper first and then scan them, but a lot of what's there comes from, it's basically a new process that I'm doing, which I've never shared with anyone. So this is kind of the first time I'm talking about it, but it's a new process and a new visual language that I'm going in, that I am taking a lot of photos of patterns in nature that I like, or any patterns. And then I go back and I kind of break them down and redraw them in my style, and then use that as a layer. And that way I can project it. So I have all these layered files, and that way I can project them large scale onto the canvas. But yeah, like everything there I drew from photo references. And a lot of the stuff you wouldn't guess, you know, like the striated shapes inside the orange clouds. That was like one of those straw thatch fences that I saw. You know, it's random stuff that has really strong graphic patterning or really strong light and dark contrast, and I'll photograph it and turn it into a layer.
It makes me think a little bit about music and how people use sample mute and all kinds of sounds in music.
Well, that's exactly right, because I described this process as basically electronic compositions. It's like a symphony. You're building a symphony. Each layer is a different sound, and you're building it up until it's completely maxed out, and it's like a symphonic harmony, and everything has to be in perfect harmony in order to work. There can't be one element that is more important than another element. Every element in the piece is equal weight in importance. So there is no subject. The entire painting is the subject, and there's no explanation of what the subject is, because it's just a visual experience of shapes in space, and it kind of creates a mood.
I absolutely love where you're going here, and I hope these are. How big do you think you're going to make the paintings?
I mean, something like that I would make probably 7 or 8 feet tall. It kind of needs to be that big in order to be doable, you know, in order to have the actual impact. It has to feel like a powerful presence. And you're not really going to get that at small scale.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, 8 feet by 5 feet is tiny for me. So, I mean, it's like to do a painting that's only the size of a piece of plywood, I'm like, wow, this is so small. So it's great for me.
Yeah. Amazing. And so when you do the masking, are you doing the masking by hand, or are you doing like laser cutting out with the?
No laser cutting at this point. I will be getting into laser cutting, and also application of digital prints into the collage work, and getting full blown into collaging using digital printed stuff that's got paint on top of it, and then you collage everything. So there really is no limit to what you can do with materials. And if you want a good example of this, everyone, I recommend checking out Frank Stella's abstract painting work as opposed to his sculpture work, because Stella already has gone off the deep end of the universe in terms of abstract use of materials, digital printing on paper, spraying and painting and manipulating the prints after they're printed, using digital and paint, you know, it gets out of control. I mean, his large scale abstract works are already 100 years into the future, you know. So yeah, that's what's exciting. And also working with Andrew Jones and Fong on the microdose VR, we're getting into ways to use VR to design murals and paintings. So going in VR, playing around, taking a screenshot, screen capture of the VR space in 3D, and then going back and let's say you print that out and paint over it and collage it into a large painting. You know, if you push that process on a large scale and you do it repeatedly, you can make a huge body of new work that's incorporating technologies, you know. Yeah, it's happening. There's no limit to painting.
That's really exciting. I feel like that frontier is something that I have not dove into at all yet, but I know it's happening, and I know, yeah, it's gonna, yeah. I'd like to learn more or hear more about like what are the things that are happening now. And I think with Burning Man happening around the corner in this multiverse, I know that there's so much that people are working on specifically for that, because it's going to be the biggest burn ever, you know, with the amount of art and people that can participate.
With the VR, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it. Well, let's look at the school I just painted.
Yes, let's do that. We're so psychically tapped. I love this Bad Kitty Snowcat.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Can we look at that real quick? It's just cute. Look at this.
That thing was super fun. Did you want to go lay down? Are you over it? Okay.
Oh my goodness. Look at this going through the landscape.
Isn't that so fun? So when I was designing it, the first thing I designed was this insane abstract face that had no identity. It was just this soulless robot. And I was like, oh man, that's kind of sad. Everybody was like, make it a face, make it an animal face. And so I said, okay. So I decided to try and make it look like a tiger. And the very next sketch literally was that. It happened just so easily that I was like, huh, okay, I guess that's its face. And so it worked out pretty easy. But the first design looked like a full-on robotic transformer. And it was kind of, you know, not as warm and fuzzy as this guy.
Warm and fuzzy. I love that for up on the mountain.
And it was funny because we released the pics of that snow cat on the exact week that the Tiger King came out on Netflix. So it was kind of this ridiculous timing that it happened.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
So
where should we start?
look at the one that says Kids Unlimited Academy right next to the tiger, other one.
The other one.
Yeah, so there is a school here in Medford, Oregon, where I live in the Southern Oregon in the Rogue Valley, and called Kids Unlimited. And the CEO and the founder is a really cool guy who's really visionary and very open-minded in his thinking. And he's a real creator and manifester. He manifested that school. That school used to be a bowling alley, and they bought the building. It's a charter school, so it's funded by donors, and it's a public charter school, and transformed this bowling alley into a full-blown school. And they even built they built a huge gym on the end of the building, so that they've actually expanded the building. They put in a soccer field, a playground, and basically they serve the poorest families in the valley who wouldn't be able to send their kids to good schools. And they also provide 3 meals a day from their cafeteria of organic food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for these families. And it's a tremendous service that they're doing for the community. It's unbelievable, really. And when they came to me to paint a mural, I said, why don't we just paint the entire building instead? So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to only paint one wall. I really just would like to do the entire building. I think we should do that. And I said, why don't we take what you're doing at the school and broadcast it to the whole world with a really bold statement on the outside of the building that basically says, we're world class. This is the future, and this is in a really terrible part of town. I mean, this is in downtown Medford. That's like meth. It's ravaged by meth, homelessness, crime. It's a really horrific part of town. And the entire time I'm out here painting this, it's literally the same homeless people and homeless drug addicts and mentally ill people who are suffering a lot. That is who is around this area. And so it's like you're trying to do something, bring some light to a dark place. So for me as an artist, it's the way I feel like I'm contributing something meaningful to society and carrying the kind of visionary ethos forward into the world, by bringing design to these spaces. Because, my realization was the kids and people around here, they're not going to get access to world-class design. They're not going to these major cities and seeing these incredible architectural and art installations. So why not give them something huge and impactful right here? It's people that's kind of what drove me to do such a huge thing around here, because we really don't have anything this culturally big artistically in this part of the country, which is sad because major cities have all this money and all this amazing art and design that people get to experience. Kids get to grow up with it, and kids around here don't get to grow up with that. So, now these kids will. I kind of wanted it to feel like a high-end science museum,
That's in many ways like the feel of it, and to know what they're doing and to know what's happening. I understand, like, I feel you so deeply about that. Like, we can't just do a wall. Let's paint the whole building. And like,
Yeah.
you know, and that's your job in many ways, you know, to expand that seed of somebody's idea and actually show them what we can do. And, you know, it takes time and it takes dedication. It takes a bunch of people, but it's totally possible. And what the impact, the potential impact could be is incredible. And Karen wrote in the chat just a little bit ago, she says, interested to see how that demographic shifts over the years. You know, it's really interesting, like, and beautiful with the snow.
So the visual to just on a design level, to talk about the design, there's some before and after pics. Why design in a certain way as opposed to a different way? So with the design here, the minimalism comes in really handy in design when you're designing for large scale public spaces that people are going to be interacting with on a daily basis. I have to take a space that's so big that if the design isn't done right, it can be a disaster. So I have to really boil the design down to something that feels really nice, that you can live with every day, and the design will age well. Like, you see the blue bricks there? That's probably the 10th draft of designs before I hit those blue bricks. I designed 9 hours a day for days before I discovered the blue bricks in that configuration. But when you look at it now, it's like, oh yeah, obviously that would be the design of the blue bricks. But no, it takes days and days and days of trying lots of different designs before it started coming together. I mean, it took me a month of 9-hour days, 5 to 7 days a week to figure out the design of this building, because it was so complicated and all these different parts. And I like to make each wall a different design so they all fit together like a puzzle, you know.
And so how long did it take you to do the whole piece?
That part that you're looking at there took probably 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
that's all part of it. Whoa.
Whoa.
That's just, so that's a part of it.
Yeah, so click on the first one, that big wall there. And then we can scroll through that. So that's the main alley wall when you drive past, and that's a 200-foot by 15-foot mural.
Wow.
And the intention of this design was to basically use this visual theme that I was going with these blue blocks, which was kind of the overall motif from the front. And I felt it was a good base for the color palette. And then I brought in the flower and plant colors on top of it in the form of these ginormous architectural flowing forms. And I basically wanted to give viewers an experience of large scale architecture, modern architecture, that they would have to go to a major city to experience. So I basically was creating a work of architecture 2D. Because it's such a huge wall, 200 foot. I mean, I struggled for weeks trying to figure out what to do about this 200-foot wall. What do you paint on a 200-foot by 15-foot wall? You know, how do you even decide what to do on that much space? And what was happening was my designs I was coming up with were like MC Escher, where it's like 6 different murals. It's a mural that keeps transforming into a different mural and into a different mural. And the founder, when we would do the review of my designs, he said, it's really cool, but it looks like there's like 6 different murals on the wall. And I'm like, yeah, the design keeps changing as it transforms down the wall. And he's like, what if the wall was just one design? And I was like, one design, like the whole thing is just one single design. And I was like, huh, okay, yeah, that's making more sense. And I kept working on more and more drafts until I finally finally hit it, which is, when you look at that mural now, you see it's one single theme that spans the entire wall. And that's how you handle a 200-foot mural, is you have a single theme. Or that's what worked for this. So suddenly that amount of space made sense. Whereas before it was just too vast and changing.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks.
It's
And so this is a super flat style here, where everything is an equal weight of visual importance. There's no hierarchy of importance. Everything's equal. Anything could be in the foreground or the background because it's flat. And there's a 50-50 distribution of elements. Same as with the symbols. When I design them, there's an equal, positive and negative space is totally equalized. And that's where you get the harmonic resonance. It's like a positive and negative space thing. So if you look at this, there's a lot going on, but everything is a 50-50 balance of warm and cool, background, foreground. Everything's broken down in a 50-50 distribution. And since there's no drop shadows or kind of illustrative sort of things on it, you can, the background and foreground and things can kind of interchange. And so it always kind of flips around. You can see the blue as being out on top or as being the background, you know.
wow.
Yeah, and I feel like the work I'm just kind of going, it's just kind of into the realm of feelings now because it's not illustration. So it's kind of like different flavors of art, you know? Yeah.
Wow.
There you kind of see the playground, but it's really quite huge. It's actually way bigger in real life than it looks in the photos.
Well,
I should have had a human reference in there.
you put this place as a landmark now, you know, for reals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's two coats of $80 a gallon exterior best paint you can get. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be there for a very long time.
Well, this feels like such a, you know, I mean, people have been painting murals in schools and painting murals in general for a long time, but I think this taking it onto the streets and making places more beautiful, you know, that's where we're going. We need more of it. We need more of it, you know, and it's so cool to see, yeah, this new piece. Like,
I mean, there was a lot of times working on this where I thought I definitely had gone crazy and what am I doing painting something this big and detailed? This is nuts. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this right now. But hey, there it is. Got it done. It's funny because like at the school, like the teenagers don't look at it or talk to, like, you know, the teenagers go by me every day. They don't even look at me or the mural. But the little toddlers, like age 5, they love it and are really excited. But, you know, most people just would go right by me and not even look, you know. Some people are into it and a lot of people just don't pay attention to it at all. It really is kind of, it's like, it's almost like they're not used to it.
there's a possibility that they can't even see it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I was out there painting for months and it's a school. So there's hundreds of people going by me at all times. And most people didn't really, you know, bother with it. To them, it's just a thing. And if people did comment, they would just go, oh, I like the colors. Cool, great, nice colors. Nobody's sitting there pondering the design, you know? Whereas I'm like, this design is so important to me. Most people are just like, oh, cool, colors and shapes. And that's as far as it's gonna go. You know? It's pretty funny.
Wow. Did you do some time lapse? Did you document it?
Yeah, I did a bunch of that stuff. It's all on my phone. I haven't really posted a ton of it. And I actually just finished the whole entire second building on this campus, which I haven't posted pics of that yet. I did post a video last week that was kind of a 360 pan of building number 2, but it's on my Instagram if you went there. But yeah, I don't have pics of building number 2 on my website yet, but it's my latest creation, and it's also ginormous.
So I just wanted to read a little note in the chat. Allison Gray's here, and she says, "Love your view on non-narrative within this visionary art tribe." Right on, brother.
Hey, Allison! Woohoo!
Visionary is pattern, color, and design.
Yeah, and the role that it plays in the community, like what it's doing in people's space too. Colors, shapes are powerful forces.
Yeah. Yay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to look at, or should we start to wrap this up a little bit and take some questions? Or,
Yeah, you're in charge, whatever you want to do.
well, how do you feel? It's kind of like going up to your freshest stuff. So,
Sure, yeah, whatever. There's more on there. It's just as long as, I can keep chatting away.
for sure.
There's lots of work on there if you scroll down to older stuff. Like that Eureka Street Art Festival mural is really fun. That was a couple
Wow.
years ago. And that was, again, they had this building nobody wanted to paint because it had this slat siding. And I said, well, I'm definitely going to go crazy on that slat siding. So I used one of my new themes, which is this kind of elongated organic forms in nice compositions of kind of organic fractal patterns. And then I applied a kind of a garden-like color palette to it that was based in the greens, and then adding some magentas. So there was kind of these flower vibes in it, and then played with the stripes and did basically an abstract vertical garden. So vertical gardens with the moss, vertical gardens are a thing now, and I thought, well, I want to make it look like a vertical garden because I love those vertical garden compositions that people are doing now.
So much. Yeah, there's just so many elements of they're very intergalactic, but like in this realm, like this super zoomed in nature of what's going on. And I feel like that's so much of like Allison and her interpretations too of the realms, it's like the super zoomed in essence of what's going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's primal.
Yeah. Wow,
And
beautiful.
if you squint your eyes, it kind of becomes more organic. You really kind of get a better idea of the depth and the color layout and everything. I always look at it with my eyes blurred a bit.
Yeah.
There's a term you said earlier that kind of really resonated, the symphonic harmony. And I love how your colors kind of demonstrate the vibrations, and like you're really bringing harmony to these places that could use some uplifting. So I just wanted to like restate those two words, the symphonic harmony, because I think it encapsulates your work really well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like calling them like a giant love generator, because when you bring walls to life, it's kind of becomes like a joy machine, because people get happy being around it. So it's kind of like just this thing that's broadcasting a positive energy.
like color therapy on a large scale. So like, and yeah, that's like the power of street art too.
What medicine?
Scroll down some, Amanda. Keep going. Keep going. Let's see.
Incredible amount of work.
Oh, let's look at the bus, the Eternal Love bus. That was a fun project. My friend's bus. We painted it. Stencils.
So fun.
And this was the original Napster party bus that Napster brought to Burning Man. Remember when Napster started? This was the Napster original bus, but my friends bought it and we turned it into a goddess temple.
I love that.
And then super beautiful, ornate, inspired by probably Islamic, Iranian, you know, Middle Eastern inspirations. And this is kind of my lighter side, I think. You know, I have a real lighter side where I like doing things that are just really pretty. So that's a chance to explore decorative patterning in a really flowery, sort of feminine way. I like to kind of have a balance. I think I tend to have a balance of masculine and feminine energy in my work. There's me painting it. It doesn't paint itself.
All of the work behind it, all of the handwork.
That's the Eternal Love stencil right there.
I mean, it's just, there's so many roots, you know, and in your story, to just where we've come into such a digital age, but you come from like the real roots of, you know, right here. These are some roots right here.
Yeah, well, I'm obsessed with arts and crafts and painting, and I would never give that away or give that up, you know, because I think, and I'm also a huge fan of using technology to further painting. So all the stencils, there's a lot of work. It took probably about 3 weeks of work.
Well, you know, that's the foundation, you know, is the handwork, you know, and the realms that we are going to go into are going to be built on that foundation of the handwork. And I know that Andrew talks about that, you know, and how his roots also, and very, you know, drawing, as the roots come back to drawing and to basic skills, right? And
yeah, foundational skills that make your work strong.
yeah. Well, how about we open it up a little bit and see if there's any questions. Anybody wants to ask some questions? We can go back to the full, is there anything else you want to tap on? There's so much. Everybody go to Xavi's website.
A lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I could keep talking because every project has a full-blown story behind it.
Yeah, well, I think this will maybe get people excited to go explore in general. And Xavi,
go to probable realities. Click on probable realities.
Ooh.
So this is a sneak peek at my idea of what my kind of new exhibition space would sort of look like. These are kind of my new abstract works that I don't post online. You won't ever see them on my Instagram or my Facebook, but this is what I'm actually working on behind the scenes, is my new abstract large scale work of this new kind of visual language and process that is a mixed media of digital, photography, drawing, painting, spraying, stenciling, to go back in a maximalist direction.
Awesome.
It's too much fun making them, and each piece is totally different, and I have no idea what's coming on each piece. If you look at those pieces, they're all totally different. Each one's different than the one before it. I never know what's going to happen. And that's how I like it, because I don't like to repeat myself. yet I'm obsessed with patterns, which are repeating. So that's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a fake gallery show. But I actually am making these paintings though.
I love them. I mean, they're so much information. To see them next to each other is really intense.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have them hanging that close to each other in real life. I just had to fit them all into the mock-up just to take a look at them. But it wouldn't be that many. They wouldn't be like all next to each other like that. That'd be too much. They kind of need more breathing room.
Oh. But I could hear music. I feel like I hear music with each one of them. That would be so cool to have them paired with a song, you know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they look like the music I listen to. So, you know.
What kind of music do you like to listen to these days?
I'm kind of in a really deep rut of music listening right now. I basically only listen to house music from Berlin.
Nice.
It's so good that if there was music I enjoyed more, I would be listening to it. But it's they really have figured out the perfect vibe of music that's really just juicy and deep and aesthetically super refined. And like Mira Cater is one of my favorite DJs. I've been listening to a lot of mostly female DJs, really, because they just have more of an emotional kind of melodic sort of vibe. Khaleesi and Sarah Creese I've been listening to a lot of. Yeah, I just listen to tons of Berlin house.
Well, maybe that can, after we have a little Q&A section, we can put on one of your favorite mixes and jam out.
Careful.
Oh, we're adventurous here on the train.
Not ambient.
Oh, don't worry.
No, no, it's lovely. It's all absolutely lovely music for sure.
Oh, I love it. Well,
yeah, you guys want to do a Q&A or whatever?
Yeah, let's open it up a little bit, and I can stop sharing here and just to remind everybody too that we are this website that somebody asked in the chat. Again, the theme is called Art Droid. Yeah.
Art Droid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy actually the way that it's visually so straightforward and supportive really to the artwork. To really being able to view it.
Yeah, it kind of dignifies the work a bit.
Do you ever work with neon paint?
Yeah, I have in the festival context.
Nice.
Really fun. And costuming, I've made entirely blacklight costumes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Really
Can
fun.
you hear me?
Hey, Allison, woohoo!
I think the work is incredible. I just think, it is so, well, I know how ambitious and what a good businessman you are as well. And I'm just wondering if you have gone for the mass market at all. I mean, it looks to me like the perfect decor for so many people. I mean, I think that people would just love this, and it has such sort of broad appeal. Do you find that you're looking in that direction, or are you already in that direction?
I am totally drawn towards the idea of creating for the broadest possible amount of people, like that, what you're talking about. And yeah, I think I really am trying to make work that's for the general public to experience. But yeah, what do you see? What are some examples of that?
Well, I see that you could get hooked up with somebody like huge that would you know, put your work in a lot of stores.
Like
And
in what, like in terms of like items,
paintings,
paintings.
paintings,
Oh, okay.
decor for people's homes. When you were showing that gallery, I
Yes,
thought
that's what I'm trying to do.
these pieces are, you know, just marvelous. They go with so many things, and they're so exciting. They bring such, you know, color to what's that vibrancy? Alex says to.
Hey, there's Alex painting.
Yeah, there's Alex painting DM Turner.
Cool. DM Turner.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that, you know, the mass market, and I have never. I had a friend who did get a consultant to bridge that, and then went in from a very small market to a very large market. And there's a way that you have to grow. But I think it's, you know, part of it is just getting the work in front of people. And I think of people that are influencers in style in a very broad sense, like, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, well, I don't, for example, but not somebody that, you know, that I recommend, but for example, like Martha Stewart. I mean, you know, she would get hooked up with Target or something. You know, I'm saying the work is beautiful, but it also looks like it has a real mass appeal with its bright colors, and it's good overall design. I think anybody would want one of those. So it would just liven up their living room so much. I think so many people.
You don't think it's too trippy or crazy looking?
I think it's just perfectly trippy and crazy looking. I think
I'm
that's
always
what we're
like,
looking for, Xavi. You know, psychedelic is super in. I'm telling you, and you are like, you know, maybe I don't know. I don't know who to compare you to, because you're absolutely unique. But listen, I live in the zone where a lot of this work originated, which is, you know, like the minimalists and the, you know, the pattern artists, and, you know, and I have, like, you know, coffee table books on all of those people from the 60s, the 70s. You know what I mean? I love the work, and I really feel like its time has come again in a new, new way. And you're the guy. I can't believe it. I came in a little late. I'm seeing only your mural work, and I imagine, I was just wondering if before I came on, you were showing some of the other products that you sell, because you design, well, last I heard you were designing a lot of apparel.
Yeah, I was doing that, and then I kind of got this crazy idea that I don't want to sell merchandise of my work anymore, because I want to establish myself as a serious gallery artist. And now I'm kind of swinging back in the direction of, okay, I still want to get my work out to the mass market. I don't want to just be in some one gallery where nobody's seeing my work, and, you know, so I'm still trying to figure it out too.
Xavi, you're so busy though. You know, everybody wants you. They want your attention, but I'm telling you, it's just a matter of getting the work in front of the right eyes. I think California, you know, and you're right there in Oregon, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm halfway between San Francisco and Portland.
Your stuff. They, you know, all the rich people living along Venice Beach. I mean, you have to make a list of the galleries that you like. What are the galleries that you'd like to be in?
I don't even know, really.
Well,
I mean,
that's your problem. You got to know the galleries that you want to be in, Xavi. It's a research project. You know, you're so good at this. Seriously, my God, you are so vastly good. But I mean, to do the research where you find, you know who you could talk to? You should go down there and talk to La Luz de Jesus. You should talk to, what's his name, Alex? Billy Shire. You know, he just give you advice. I'm not sure, you know, his gallery is not, you know, maybe, but he's a good advisor, and he's been in the gallery business all these years. He's so nice. Talk to me, Xavi. Seriously, we should, like, get together. I'm serious.
Yeah, I'm ready to kind of go kind of up to the next level and stuff. I've got, my studio is huge. I can make work. So, and I've got kind of my process and my work is kind of at the point where I know how to keep producing new versions of it. And yeah, I think it would be ready for that step because I can't keep painting murals. Personally, I have to hire out the labor to do the murals now because they're getting too much for me to handle by myself.
I know, when you did ours on the ceiling, Karen got up there. Come on.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you know? You designed a beautiful little thing and then, you know, somebody else executed it. It was really, thank you, Karen. Karen, so.
No, that was fun.
But I'm so glad because, you know, we do collaborate and that's what's wonderful. That's what's really good. But you need people to do it for you. I couldn't believe I saw you on top of that bus. I thought, he painted that? No, he stayed on the ground. Somebody else painted that, but you
I
did.
know.
You did.
I should be standing there in a white robe with an iPad and a pointer.
Really? You should. Well, you know, I mean, okay, let's go there. Do you project these pieces?
Yeah.
And, yeah, you project them. Yeah.
The large murals, if the design is too complicated and I can't just measure it out, then I have to use a projector. Yeah. And that's even challenging because a lot of times there's something blocking the projector, you know?
Oh my God.
So it's not always easy projecting.
I think what you did to that school is that bowling alley turned school is a remarkable and amazing, and your intuition, your instincts about you know, wanting to give that specialness to these people who have had less, you know, and so that they should feel that this is uplifting. This is a, you know, a way for them to, you know, I don't know, come to school every day. It's a reason to go to school. It's like, it's an exciting school to be at. They are.
Well, it gives the kids more of a sense of identity. It makes them excited. And then kids that don't go to the school get excited and want to go there.
Right.
It gets popular, you know, and they feel like they go to the coolest school around.
Well, I hope you're getting it out there in every possible way, Xavi, because the more people that see it, you know, the more, you know, invitations you're going to get to do that sort of thing. But it's kind of hard on your body to keep being a mural artist.
Yeah,
You know,
that school really kind of, I took a beating on that school for sure. That was really tough.
So, because you have an incredible piece to show for it. I mean, it just changes everywhere you go, everywhere you look. It has so much variety.
Thanks. Yeah, I try to incorporate as many different elements while making it all harmonized. You know, so it's kind of like a couture outfit where each piece is a different part of the outfit, and you're mixing and matching patterns and colors to create a whole piece.
Well, do you like designing fashion? Do you
Yeah.
did design some fashion? Would you like to do that again rather than
Yeah.
twirling? Or as
I want to keep my clothing line going full on. Yeah, it just is a lot of work and it's like a whole other passion project, but I need to have the passive income streams going because I spend all my time painting these big murals lately that, you know, I haven't had time to do my studio work or my other projects like creating these passive income marketplace kind of projects.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, an artist that's going to be successful has a lot of various skills and income streams, really, I think. I mean, at least that's been our experience. Not everybody. We just finished watching a movie of Jean-Michel Basquiat, and all he wanted to do was paint, really. He just painted all the time. So some people are able to do that, but I don't know. A lot of us have to do a lot of different things, you know, to be an artist. But you have so many ideas with your patterns and how they could work. And I think you know, as a fashion and designer of, you know, of style, I think that's a great strength for you.
Mm-hmm. And I love it, so it's a pleasure.
Yeah, and unless you get other people to paint the murals for you, it must be, you know, it gets harder, I think, to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm really excited to do these studio works and kind of develop my paintings. Like, see, you guys have these amazing big paintings you're working on, and I don't have any studio paintings going on, even though I've designed them all. I have to actually get into the studio and start making these new works.
But
know?
that's how it happens though, right? It's like, you know, you go into these different phases of, you know, there's the design process, you know, different projects. I mean, that's how my life has always been as well. Like there's times when I'm in the studio and it is deep dive, you know, and other times I'm, you know, and I got to take a break from that sometimes, you know, and go and gain inspiration in different ways, work on different projects. And you know, so
Yeah.
now you're getting ready to dive into those big works.
Yeah, totally. I've got that shipping container series. All those abstract paintings you saw are actually things I'm planning on painting, but I'm gonna I'm gonna set up like, you know, 6 of those ginormous abstract panels at a time and work on all of them at once, layer by layer.
Have
I'll
you
build an exhibition.
have you done any work with Meow Wolf yet?
Nope. They're an invitation only kind of thing, and I'm friends with the creative director. She's who I worked with at the Do Lab, but I haven't been asked to be a part of that project.
Well,
They're going to open, I think, February, mid-February sometime, but I think they might be having some sort of an opening a part of the building in September is what I think. So they're not really looking for new artists yet, but
Yeah.
that can happen. That can happen again, you know, in the future if they are successful with this one. I think they probably will open another.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, that school was kind of like my Meow Wolf of the year, so I was pretty busy on that school, and then the second whole building too. And now they just opened up a new Kids Unlimited school, a separate building in a different part of town, and they want me to do that one. And there's still the other half of the first building, so it's like there's a lot of work to be done on the murals, but I'm kind of leaning towards hiring the labor for that so I can work on other stuff.
So smart, because you don't need to take the work unless they give you money for an assistant, at least 1 or 2. You need, that's huge projects. This is a lot of work.
It's huge. Yeah, it's crazy. I think now I appreciate how huge and crazy they are. So it's one thing to paint a mural, but that school is 20 murals if you add it up.
That's amazing.
And each mural takes 2 weeks to paint. You know, it's an insane amount of work, months and months. It took me 9 months to do both buildings for that school. And through the winter, painting outside through the winter.
How many assistants did you have on a project like of that size of the school?
None.
You did it all by yourself.
I hired an assistant. I hired one assistant that lasted about 2 weeks. Maybe a little longer, but then that was it for the assistant budget because they were demanding like $25 an hour, you know. And so that didn't last long. And it wasn't the best experience ever. You know, I learned a lot about how, you know, people work and how to, you know, it's a whole different thing kind of when someone's working for you and you want them to do things a certain way and go at a certain pace. And, you know, it's not easy to find the most perfect helper ever.
There's an art in collaboration. It's like a whole nother artist journey that we face, you know, the art of working with each other. And yeah, and especially in like creative settings like that. Like, I don't know, I remember we were in the Mushroom Cafe. It was interesting because it was upside down. Like ceilings are a whole nother thing.
Pain in the neck.
Talk about a neck ache.
That was a
like, beautiful at the end of the day. I mean, thinking about all the like ceiling art in general is.
But you set my standard for assistant help so high that I had a hard time finding such a good assistant after that.
Well, you know,
I was spoiled from the start.
this is the way that that, you know, we learn that artists in many ways, you know, you have to be an assistant and support other artists, you know, to really learn. It's such an incredible way. I mean, that's the way I was taught, you know, and it's a service. It's not just like you're hiring somebody to just do something. It's like for them, they're getting to learn all different kinds of new ways and how you work. I mean, that's the best education.
They're getting an education. So on building number 2, a young lady who was the daughter of a woman who was helping me, she showed up one day. She was 19, and she was a student at the college here, art student, but she dropped out, wasn't having a great time there. And she wanted to help out on the mural. After one day or two of her helping, I realized that she was absolutely the most amazing assistant I could have ever found. I wasn't looking for it, but she showed up, and turns out she was the best assistant, 100% awesome. And she showed up every day. She was there. She learned the lessons really quick. You know, she was able to integrate my directions of how to do things, what technique, this is how you hold the tape, this is the angle you do this, all those little minute directions that kind of you have to have going on a huge scale project. She was able to integrate. And then after a couple weeks, she asked if I need help doing any work at my studio. And then kind of the light bulb went off, and I was like, wait a minute, do you want to like just officially be my like apprentice? Like, I'll teach you everything I know, you know? And she's so good at learning it. And she doesn't talk or run her mouth when we're working, which I love. She just is so focused, you know? It's great. So yeah, she's gonna help me with all my studio work and all the murals going forward, and basically be my employee and apprentice and studio assistant. And she's wants to, you know, keep that going. So there we go. Got to start somewhere.
Oh, Allison, you're muted.
Allison, trying to say something?
I was just saying congratulations for finding somebody. What we say is the perfect person is coming to us now. Definitely, Karen. Karen, you want to talk about somebody who really knows how to attract volunteers? Karen was a magnet. She knew how to do it too. It was amazing. But
Yeah.
but she did a lot of other jobs just that great too. So there you go, Karen. You're getting a, you know,
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
you are so awesome.
Yeah, and really empowering each other, you know, as and positive encouragement, you know, like being, you know, it's just like the subtle things of how to work in a team.
Yeah.
And to know when to just be the observer, and to be, and when I had a great experience yesterday, just to I went live earlier today talking about how I just had a 5-hour experience yesterday in changing out the starter on my 1973 Caravan RV Dodge Cabana. And this amazing mechanic, Gary, came to my rescue, and we were in the parking lot at the grocery store, and it was hard. It was a hardcore situation because we had to change out the starter. The starter is one of the hardest organs. I would see it as an organ in the vessel of near the engine to get to of this. And so we were under there. It was gymnastics. And it was like, without the two of us, at first he was kind of like, you know, stay out of my business kind of a thing. But he needed my help, like big time. And I totally tuned into just like Jedi folk, just observing, trying to be the best assistant I could. And by the end, we were greasy, like up, it was ridiculous. But he said afterwards, we had a good time too. Because it's like, it's about having a good time, right? No matter what you're doing. And he was like, you know, you can be my mechanic's assistant any day.
Cool.
I was like, score, I won. And I was like thinking back to all my years working with Ernst Fuchs and, you know, Michael Fuchs and doing.
No biggie.
No biggie. Just let's change out the starter and then get the new one back in. I mean, it was challenging.
Yeah.
But it's cool. That's okay. We can do the challenge. We got this. So yeah, just being a good assistant, you know, I think for all of us, like, no matter where we're at, you know, you're going to get invited back. You
I'm
want
Snow's
something?
assistant.
That's right. Lisa?
Who is this? What did you say, Savi?
I said I'm Snow's assistant.
Oh, nice. Oh, yay, Snowy. Well, yeah, guys. Well, shall we?
I wanted to just say one thing more about assistants, and that is, I always tell people, if you want to grow bigger, hire somebody. That's the way to grow bigger, because then you have somebody you have to support. It makes you work harder and think smarter toward your economy. So, you hire somebody because you want to get somebody to do all the things that, they could do just as well as you or better. And you can do the things that you do best more.
Yeah.
You want to be doing, 80% of your time on the things you do best and love the most, your highest impact, highest revenue producing activities. And then you want to do 20% of all that other shit that you don't really want to do. You're trying to get to those levels where you're doing the littlest amount of what you don't need to do. Other people can do them better or as well as you. And then, you have to spend a lot of your time doing the things that you do the best, which is you're very good at, Xavi. I'm really impressed. I remember that wall, that whole area you did in Temple. You remember that mural, the moving mural? Wasn't that yours?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, we were looking at it on here earlier.
I didn't get to see that. That was an early master work, I think.
Oh, thanks. That actually, Robert Venosa got to see that piece.
Did he?
Yeah, I got to have a walkthrough with him, and that was the first time he kind of gave me a little pat on the back and said, "Good job." That was pretty.
Oh, you still
special
remember that.
moment.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and then actually about the dreams, Amanda. After Venosa passed away, I had a magical dream that he came to me because he was pretty hard on me as an artist in real life. And he came to me in the dream, and he basically put his hands on me, and telepathically he said, I'm bestowing all of the blessings I can possibly give you now. You're there. So I felt him. It was kind of like all these other art masters, and it was like he gave me kind of a love transmission and basically said, I'm supporting you, and I often have dreams where I'm visited by a person who passed away recently. So that was a really special dream.
It's hard for me to think of two visionary artists of the contemporary times that are as absolutely opposite polarities as you and Robert Venosa, probably. The fact that he was doing, this sort of frottage, Rorschach, work, and then you doing your precise, probably working on a pad, if you're smart, just working out your patterns. I mean, it couldn't be more diverse, really.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and I didn't come from a rigorous background of studying figurative realism, which was what he was into. So he wasn't crazy about my work. But after he passed away, that dream, it was like an energy that we didn't have in real life, It's pretty amazing, yeah.
He wasn't he was kind of tough on a bunch of us, though. Like, Robert wasn't like always the nicest, in some ways. Like, I just remember him being kind of tough. Like, I was a little scared of him.
Same here.
But I always looked up to him so much, and like, especially like the later years, he softened a lot. He was much more approachable. But like, none of us knew that he had been diagnosed. They kept that secret that he was diagnosed with cancer. Like, he lived with it for like over 9 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. I met Robert and Martina probably when I was like 19 years old. and they were just such a magical couple, and the work that they did, and they lived in Boulder. That was some of my first view into some of the American visionary art world.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, Xavi, didn't you come to COSM NYC when we were doing that thing with Delvin and Marissa and everybody? You were there. You're in all those pictures. You were in all those pictures. I was sure that you were. And yeah, that was really that's where I met you. That was really life-changing, I think, in our world.
Oh, cool.
Those three parties. It was a series of three masterful parties. I mean,
in 2005.
One was in Portland, Oregon, and one was in San Francisco, Symbiosis.
Synergenesis.
What was it?
Synergenesis.
Synergenesis. That's what it was. Synergenesis. Oracle was in Portland.
Oracle was in Seattle with ISIS.
Seattle, not Portland, Seattle. And then there was the one in New York. It was called Avatar, and it was the one that Marissa and Delvin.
That was awesome. That was, one of my greatest experiences. And that's where I got to meet Zach and hang out with Zach.
Wow.
We just did Sacred Geometry. It's coming out, actually. It's airing on Tuesday for the new moon. And we were invoking Zach because he was really, serious about sacred geometry. He did some wonderful, kind of progressive series and stuff. Oh, he'd do anything.
Yeah, he was serious about painting the tops of huge buildings too.
I remember meeting you, Xavi. I believe it was 1999.
9.
Yeah.
8 or 9, yeah.
Where did you meet? Where? That's before.
It was at the gallery.
Julie Rico Gallery in LA.
Julie Rico, okay.
Yeah.
It was a total accident. It was an unplanned thing, but I had just discovered Alex's work in '97 through friends in Sedona, and my work had already kind of gone visionary, and I didn't know of anyone else doing that kind of stuff. And then I was introduced to Alex's work, and then I happened to be in LA one weekend because I had designed a rave poster. So I was out for that week because I was in Arizona at the time.
Wow.
And my friend Aaron was like, let's go look at the Alex Gray show at the Rico Gallery. So I showed up at the Rico Gallery with my portfolio in hand to show Julie to see what she thought of my work. And I was like, hey, can you give these prints to Alex when he comes? And she's like, well, you can give them to him yourself. He's going to be here in 5 minutes. And I was like, wow. And so, that's where we hung out and met, and you looked through my portfolio, and that was pretty much galvanized my idea of that I'm definitely a visionary artist, and I'm going down this path, and this is what the deal is. It was really kind of confirmed the direction I felt I was going in. And it was just such a synchronistic moment. I'm just like, how you couldn't have, what are the chances? And you were actually on your way to Hawaii to the psychedelic conference.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was Terrence's last stand. Yeah, the all chemical conference. That's
right.
Funny. Well, your work was astonishing even then, because it was, you could tell it came right out of, and I had never seen something. See, my work was being used for rave culture, but I really wasn't a part of rave culture until I, got swept into it. But I didn't originate it.
We were parents of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I was there at Rico Gallery with Zena, who had just made her second movie. That's my experience. It was a flashpoint for like all of us. You met Tool there.
Yeah.
You met
wow.
there.
Yeah.
That's where you met Tool?
That's where you met Adam.
Wow. Yeah. She scammed us both. She stole money from both of us.
Oh no.
And it bonded us forever.
And Mark McLeod Mark McLeod came in and took a painting off the wall of Alex's.
She said,
and gave Alex the money, didn't give it to Julie because she already owed him like $10,000.
she's a
So
crook.
he just gave the money directly to Alex. It was not our first contact with Mark McLeod though. We knew him
I
many
loved
years
him though. He just grabbed it off the wall.
Yeah.
This is my payment, Julie. Yeah.
And he handed it to him.
Here's the money, Alex. Yeah.
She stole and got such a bad reputation for it.
Oh, well.
From Guy and Michelle after us.
Guy
and Michelle wanted to show there. We warned them. They went with it, and the same thing happened to them.
Oh, well. Hey, we all got to show, and I bet some cool stuff happened to them, too. Meeting Tool. Look, it was destiny, I have to say. And meeting you,
It was a gift.
I got
a gift from Julie. Seriously, Julie Rico. I celebrate her now.
All right.
Dastardly.
A crook that changed my life for the better.
It made everything happen. Are you kidding? So much was going on there. We met Xavi.
Yeah.
That was such a crazy moment for sure. Life-changing moment for me.
Worth it.
I was out there with my daughter in LA making a movie and looking for a new agent. That's what we were doing. And you were on your way to the Alchemical Conference. It was like, life was like exploding for us at that moment, Xavi.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that early work, and because it empowered me about the power of the visionary tribe that is showing up, that is already integrating every step of art that's already happened, and putting it in the remix and thinking evolutionarily. And so I think that you're one of those examples of being at the forefront, the evolutionary edge of consciousness and of thought, just like a jazz musician wants to compose something new every day, and yet it still remains Xavi, pure Xavi. And I love that about your work. And so thank you for,
very distinctive. It's very unique. And you are unique, and you are so powerful to continue doing it in this visionary community where, it's unique.
Thanks.
It's very special.
Well, it's good to hear that, because I usually feel a bit like just a total outsider, like I don't fit in anywhere.
Me too.
Really weird.
Yeah, I know. But, we love you. We all love each other. That's what we all are, But let me say this. Just before I stop talking, I wanted just to say how much I appreciate you for coming to Cosm for the Avatar and meeting us and being part of that, coming all the way to be with us for that, and for coming again all those years later. Just to be an artist resident, work with Karen, to come back here. It was just fantastic. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Friend.
Well, I really appreciate it. It's very special to me. And I can't wait to come back. And I still hope we get to do that shipping container.
I would love it. We should do it, Xavi.
It's got your name on it.
Next time we'll be
for this quarantine, then, we'd be visiting all the time.
No,
That's right.
It's going to happen. It's coming back. It's going to be. It's going to be okay. We're all going to stay safe. Are you staying indoors, and does everybody wear masks up there?
Everybody in Oregon wears masks, and everybody social distances. It's hardcore around here. Yeah.
Really good. And I think that the Vision Train has just made such a difference. And really, the Visionary Art Tribe's never been closer. Right?
Well, I'm glad to get this chance to kind of reconnect, because, my work goes off into other areas, and then I'm not really in the visionary scene so much. And my audience now, visionary art kids, don't really follow me on Instagram. And so it's kind of like I've gone off in a direction where I don't think, as many eyes are on it. So
some of the most artists are not on Instagram, Xavi, unfortunately. I love to see them, and I love to see you. And I think that you'd find some really great compadres on Instagram if you started to play the game again. It gets to be more fun. The more people that you have on your Instagram following, the more people you follow.
I have like
fun it is.
7,000 followers. I have an extremely low amount of followers on
You
Instagram.
follow the ones that you follow, the people that you follow. I'm saying if you
Yeah, I follow tons of people.
7,000 people, you would have 7,000 more much fun. So much more.
I love following people, but every artist I follow doesn't follow me back, and it's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like, am I not good enough for you? Am I not good enough for you? You know?
Don't worry about that. Just look for others.
yeah.
You don't worry about who's looking for you. Look
look
for others.
Look for the tribe that you feel in resonance with. I wanted to say that you're in good company in the abstract visionary artists, though, in terms of art history. You know, if we look at even the early part of the 20th century, you know, Hilma af Klint as the now newfound mother of modernism and
We
abstract.
had the big show last year. Where was it? The Guggenheim or something?
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
it was a beautiful show.
very, very
And-
well received.
Emma Kuntz was another of the kind of geometric, abstract, but also spiritualist painters. And so they established this kind of visionary world of abstraction that's always been part of the, I mean, look at cave art, and you'll find these mandalas and patterns and things that are abstraction and definitely not figurative. And so to my mind, the visionary is not a style. It's a mode of consciousness, a kind of a way of seeing the world, a multi-dimensional way of seeing the world.
Well, in the mystical experience is a formless thing that, you know, you can bring your own form to the mystical experience, you know.
Yes, yes. And there are artists like Pavel Chilachev, who, see, for me, the visionary artist can also be directly representational. You can have an artist who is a total realist or a hyper realist, and their work can start to become uncanny, like Gregory Gillespie or Ivan Albright. Those
Or Luis Tomani. Luis Tomani uses super realism mixed with, you know, a lot of, he even uses abstraction, but extremely labor intensive. I think contemporary rather than ethnic at all. But
yeah.
he uses the ethnic, you know, clothing and the patterning and things like this, but his ability is to render.
Sure.
Realism.
So he combines, he's in that medium realm that I think that a lot of the symbolist and visionary artists like myself would fall into, who are using archetypal symbolism and things like that, and the indication of the subtle energetic realms and things like that, the kind of visionary astral planes and things like that, the so-called visionary luminous, kind of realm. So that's the three of them. Those are more or less symbolic. So you got representational, symbolic, and then abstract. That's the triad of what you'll find. The visionary lens can be seen in either of those directions, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because figurative illustrative work is such a great tool to convey symbolism. And oddly, my dreams every night are in the form of realism, figurative symbolism. I don't dream in abstract shapes and colors. I dream in figurative, highly specific objects and things from our world put through this bizarre other dimensions. And I wake up going, well, there's a lot of content for symbolic figurative work going on inside me, but I just don't feel like painting that way, you know?
Maybe all of these fields of incredible patterning that you're doing are a background for your characters to play on.
Could be, yeah. I was thinking of doing that.
I'm kind of, but I don't expect you to do it. But it occurs to me as an
There's a
abstract.
lot of peer pressure for me to bring back the fantasy characters and stuff.
Well, those are the kind of characters that I sort of saw in the earliest work. They were figurative, but they also were totally in a visionary, tripped out dimension that was not like any other work that I had ever seen. And they were clearly coming right out of your trips.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot more of that, and I kind of get sad that that style kind of went away, because I had to work to make a living, and I ended up doing these projects where that's not appropriate to be painting these highly rendered fantasy visions, and I just end up doing these kind of graphic things for work. So I didn't like purposely stop doing that, just kind of happened,
You never know. The future is mystic, as they say.
Yeah.
And quite often, an artist, they say, will have at least two bodies of work. The work that they are known for, and there's some secret shit that no one knows about, that they're working on now. And so I always think they're bound for a collision course, whatever they are.
Well, and Milton Glaser was known for his work always changing styles, and he said, and he actually said, I want people to look back at my work and have it look like it was done by a different artist at different periods. I wouldn't see, he would, his whole idea of what he was doing would just completely change over the decades, But I thought that was cool. But there's always an underlying purpose to communicate effectively.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's soul-to-soul communication. That's the goal.
It doesn't have to be translatable communication. It could be
Well, that's what I was.
real.
Yeah, well, that's why we called this Into the Beyond, because I like work that's in a place beyond language, where the words to describe what you're experiencing aren't yet formed, because you're still experiencing something so new and alien and beyond.
Yeah.
So I like to think of I want my work, like what Allison's painting right now is in that realm. It's like, there's no words to describe this, but yet that in itself is a description. You're kind of aiming toward that mystical state,
Totally. Yeah. Yay. Hey,
Yeah.
love you, Xavi.
Love you too. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Going back to DM Turner.
Cool.
So, is Rosie still on the line? Let's see. Rosie's still on the line.
I'm here.
Staying awake.
Rosie, do you know Xavi? Xavi,
Oh, yeah.
my sister Rosie.
I met Xavi at Cosm, and I got to meet his mom.
Cool.
Had breakfast with you.
After the night of the haunting,
Oh, that's right.
the ghost was moving stuff around in our room.
The ghost of the Great House. Woohoo!
Are we all going to get dressed up for Halloween? We should all just get dressed up for Halloween. Just get on the Zoom, with our costumes on, and just have a costume Zoom party.
For sure.
We have more. I can't wait to come back for another episode of Deities and Demons.
I know. I know it's.
Yes.
Well, that's what I think we're going to do for Deities and Demons this year, because we're doing everything virtually this year. We've turned our art church into a new moon, which I really love, because I always wanted to do the new moon on the new moon, like we did in the city, not like on the closest Saturday. I thought it was important to do it on the moon itself. So we're doing that, and that's really great, and that's coming up on Tuesdays. Every couple of weeks we have another. We just keep them going, and that's just, we're on, this is, I think we did the 220th full moon consecutive,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was early August. So anyway, we haven't stopped. We moved and we haven't stopped. It was hard to keep going when we were moving, but But anyway,
Oh,
that's what happens.
well, and it's great seeing the updated pics of the temple looking amazing. The floor is bonkers.
Yes, I'll tell you, I know I shouldn't do this shamelessly, but we are, going to have our first tour of the interior virtually. We're going to have a
Cool.
full tour for members at the end of the month. So people who are members are going to get to go on the tour, and the board, of course, Amanda's on our board. Board gets to go even before that. So we're
Nice.
gonna put the sacred mirrors up.
Awesome.
Actually install them for the end of the month. Yeah.
That is so exciting.
It is. It's almost like drop dead exciting. It really is. But don't see that now, don't.
Well, I can't wait till the big event where we can all come out there and celebrate and go full power.
It's because of COVID. I think God wanted it this way. It's going to be a slow opening.
Yeah.
Take it in small little packets, little groups of people before we can all have a big party there. We may even be doing, 50-person full moons.
Oh, cool.
Live stream, but only 50 in the room.
Oh, how special though.
When we can get in there and when they let us use it for the public.
Yes,
Sorry,
everybody.
I'm moving a huge spider from my wall right now. Will you
Oh,
put him outside? Sorry, there was just a huge spider. Had to get him outside.
real stuff. So also there's Mark's put a link to chasm.org. If you aren't already a member,
Yes.
you want to be a part of this tour, don't you? You want to be a part of the first tour.
The reveal, of the sacred mirrors in their new home. I'm very excited.
Big moment.
Yeah,
That's like historical.
I know it's going to happen.
So many more people get to go on this tour than would have otherwise.
Oh yeah.
And I remember this, considering the opening of the Entheon and being like, well, there's more people that are going to want to be at that opening that could physically fit inside of it, right?
Well, it's not an opening like all the work is going to be installed. Just the sacred mirrors room is going to be installed. And then the rest of it's going to be empty. And we're going to just show everybody around like we've shown you around. And, some of you have been there. And we used to show people around. Then we had to stop because it's illegal. Can't bring the public in. So, but we can do it virtually as long as we want to, as many times as we want to. So, but anyway, Amanda, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good.
Are you?
Yeah. God, so many things are happening. A new update, I got accepted into this program from the Buckminster Fuller Institute called the Design Science Decade. Or it's a design science studio that's a riff off of a concept from Buckminster Fuller called the Design Science Decade, which was intended for 1965 to 1975. And it was focused, the focus is 100%, like 100% for all of life. Like whatever the project is, it's really focused on 100% for all of life, like supportive. And there's 144 people that have been chosen to be a part of it. I have no idea how many people applied, but I was invited to apply, and really interesting spectrum of characters. And it just started, and it's a 6-month program.
What
And
do
so
you learn? What are you going there for?
well, I'm going there because I'm really interested in connecting with a bunch of these other characters and sharing story, and also developing. I'm really there with the Vision Train, for the Vision Train, and to me the Vision Train links back to all the other projects like South Main here in Gunnison, Chasm, the schools, like all my interests I feel like are in ways like connected through that. And I see the Vision Train as just a great platform to expand on. And I really want to get the drawing project for, people in schools, and not just schools, but anybody, but focus on schools starting in January. and to have like a real tutorial and kind of a program that anybody could, any teacher could do with their class. And so I'm looking at just some, you know, doing something in a group like that, bringing a project like that into a group, just the different possibilities and the accountability too. Like kind of, I'm interested in being a student a little bit too, of, you know, and being a part of something that I'm not facilitating.
Yeah, you're really running this thing. I mean, you're making such a huge difference, Amanda. This has changed your life. Did you ever have a thought that this is the way the vision train would go? Or it was just when COVID hit, it just struck you in the head?
I did not think that, yeah, it would exactly happen like this. I'd been wanting to do online art jams with through the workshops. You know how you get so connected with people, and it's so wonderful, and then everybody disperses. So I knew that this was possible in some way, but I wasn't quite sure how. And so I knew that that would be a good thing, but I didn't, and I knew that the train in general needed to get started online in some way, but I didn't know what it looked like. And it was after coming back from Costa Rica. It was March, beginning of March, and I could feel this momentum and this thing, and it happened quite quickly. But one morning I woke up and I told Joe Bob, we're gonna do it today. We're gonna just start it. I'd been researching like the week before. I was like, could this work? And I just knew, because of so many people being at home and the artists, you know, all over the world, that it could work, you know. And it's just like, but it's something, because it's something that everybody can tap into, you know. There's space for everyone, and that's the kind of concept that the train has always been to me. It's like there's everybody's invited. You know, what are you going to bring to the table? Hook in, you know, connect to the train, and we're in this together. You know, it's even more perfect for the COVID times, I think. You know, look at
it is so perfect for the COVID times that one wonders if it would be able to exist in any other times. But then you kind of think it could, and that it probably will. Whether Amanda is the conductor or not, it probably, there may be other communities that are doing this. Do you know of any other communities, like different sorts of niches that are doing this? 24/7 communities?
Not like this, but I do wonder. I think that so we're launching the Mushroom Magic exhibition.
Yes.
That's happening end of the month, and it would be awesome if you guys want to join with us and do a tour.
I don't understand, Amanda. I mean, if I were to enter something, okay, does that mean that it's for sale?
Yeah, that's up to you. It goes back to you completely. It's 100%.
In the show, how do you be in the show? What do you mean? Can you explain a little bit?
So it's a virtual show. We're using this software program called Kunstmatrix, where you can go on a virtual tour. You can be led on a tour, on an automatic tour, or you can go through it yourself. And you just use a regular computer browser and everything. And that you come up to an artwork, and the artwork, you then see information. The artwork pops up. You can see whatever the artist has written about it or wants to have about it. And then there's links that go to wherever the artist wants you to go to. So we're sending
with a bunch with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who love the Vision Train and are playing the Vision Train game. It's not because you have to have a picture of a mushroom, is it, or anything mushroom related? Because I know I said that when people came and wanted to do a mural, it was mushroom. Of course, mine wasn't mushroom related, so Xavi's wasn't really mushroom related.
It's the same kind of thing, though. Like, I would say you and Xavi are more like a part of the vibration in some way, right? And Xavi, I want to ask you too if you would be interested in submitting something for the mushroom exhibition.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mycelial webs don't look like a mushroom.
Exactly.
Oh,
So Allison, I know so much of your, I mean, what's the way that you share the inspiration of the mushroom?
okay. Well, no, I always share the inspiration of the mushroom. Believe me.
Exactly.
I'll
So
always
that's to me,
share-
I would,
So that's what I thought. I wondered whether that was, like
yeah,
acceptable.
of course it's acceptable.
Yeah,
Of
I mean,
course.
yeah. So, but
So-
anyway, that'll be fun. Are you working on yours?
Yeah. No, we've actually closed our submissions,
Oh,
but so but there's a couple special guests we can still squeeze in.
you don't have to.
No?
I'd love to be a contributor to the
Come
vision.
on.
Believe me, whether I'm in the show or not, but I'm going to finish this piece soon, and maybe I'll get a good picture of it.
Well, it's the show's in 2 weeks. We're opening the show in a 24-hour event
Mhm.
that we're doing the August 29th and 30th. We're going to do a tour. That's what I would love for you guys to be a part of the tour, like to initially look through it. Gold Cap's going to make a special track or not a special play set for the mushroom exhibition, which is going to be super sweet. And we're gonna have 24 hours where people there's a different crew for each trip of 4 trips, right? Because the Vision Train's 24 hours that are planning programming. And we're gonna be going live as much as possible in that 24 hours because it's time for that. It's time to share the blossom of the community, right? That we've been building here on the Vision Train. And this is an opportunity Anya is putting together this incredible marketing plan too, because she's a marketing expert. That's what she was before she got it. She really focused on all her art. And we're all going to work together like little mushrooms attached to a mycelial network, which we are. And we're going to feed the stream with good things about mushrooms.
Awesome! That sounds so great.
And so it'll be up for a month.
Oh,
Online, and during that month there's all kinds of things that we can do, and we're going to experiment with getting more attention to go there. And it's really, and each artist can also choose if they want to give a donation, and from there if they sell their work, prints, original, whatever they do, that's up to them. And it's up to them too. I mean, but we want to highlight who they're wanting to support as well, the different charities and groups, highlighting the things that we're interested in.
brilliant! I didn't know you so much as a producer of events as this, but you've done so many events, really, even before the Vision Train, didn't you, Amanda?
Yeah.
Well, Amanda's just a straight A student all around.
Yeah.
This, she's going to do all the homework and do a good job, and you're such a leader already with teaching classes and stuff. That's something I want to talk to you about at another time, because I want to start teaching classes and put up online courses for people to download different art lessons so I can do some passive income that way and
Yes,
share what I know. It's all about online sales now, online everything.
Xavi, I wanted to ask you about that with the teaching, because what's developing out of this is the virtual school, the academy. And that you may have heard that the Vienna Academy had to shut down because of the pandemic. And that was a big thing, and it's time to transition, into this realm, which we needed to anyway before. I wanted to be teaching online before. I knew it was a good idea and a valuable thing, but just hadn't done it yet because it was constant go, 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 And so this,
I just want to put my art school into individual art lessons. Each video is a different lesson, and people can buy each lesson one by one.
Yeah. Well, it'd be awesome. I mean, I would love to talk with you further about the teaching, because we're building this platform now of the school. I just did a workshop last month that, some folks that are here were there, we had 160 people. And that was the whole journey that we went, you know, and it was a really special thing because I think both is important. I think it's important to have like the live experience, even though we're digital right now, but.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny with this thing because I'm just now at the point where I'm ready to go full power into being an art teacher and having workshops and doing my little version of teaching. Even though we got 0 signups for my course at COSM because I have no following on social media, but I have a lot to teach. So I guess we'll just do it online.
You have a lot to offer besides teaching too, Xavi. Teaching is it's very consuming, and it does take up a lot. You have to work on your curriculum, and then you have to be with students. You have to like really be with them, and it is very consuming, and it really isn't for everyone. And frankly, Alex and I, for oh God, you know, the first 15 years of teaching together, teaching at all. I mean, we taught very little, really. Alex taught at NYU for you know, 2 courses though, and that was hard.
Yeah, the curriculum. Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, Amanda, is how you set up your course curriculum and all this kind of stuff, and basically just how you do it, like how to do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parents around this area that are asking me if I have art classes for their kids to go to, and they're serious. They're like, well, when can we send our kid to your art class? You know, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I have to get that together. You know,
it's big, and I think, you know, I don't know, teaching it does take a lot, but it feeds a part of my experience of and also the fuel of, I don't know, my art also is fueled by it, I think, in some way, for sure, because there's a lot of exploration that happens.
well, you're sharing it to the next generation. It's really important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't exist.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important to sprinkle those seeds, like now more than ever, to just like allow the creative seeds to be nourished. And like we have to step up as teachers in that way right now.
Yeah.
And with so many people and everybody being online right now, there's a much larger, you know, reach to connect with people and in this way than before, you know? And I think it'll strengthen the vision too of it really being a time to then like to reach out really far, but to also strengthen the regional networks, to get more networked and connected to go then offline, you know? Because there's so many people, I think, that are, especially in the arts, that are interested in maybe especially like the realm of visionary art, that just haven't found how to connect in yet, you know? Like right now, you know, we're all here because we had either somebody tell us, you know, invite us personally or not, you know, there's not really, we haven't run any ads. We're not trying to reach like a big thing. We're really strengthening the networks that are kind of already somewhat familiar.
Well, and you have a huge following too. So that's great. That's why you're the leader.
Got to use that following for something. I feel very like the Facebook thing. So the reason why there's such a big following on Facebook is that years ago, I don't know what happened, some algorithm was just like sending page suggestions, and I was getting 1,000 likes a day. I wasn't doing anything special, and it just, and then that stopped. But you know who really uses social media in it, like is one of the best at it? I think is Chris Dyer.
Do know.
Who?
You said, do I know? And I was going to say, yes, it's Chris Dyer.
He's so good because he's such a great like storyteller, you know, and he loves
doing that before social media. It's because he always was doing that. Exactly. Even before social media, he was at every event with a video camera, randomly interviewing people on what they thought about the art, you know, and what's going on. Like, he is that guy.
I know, and all his sketchbooks, and like Jen just wrote, he has no filter.
Literally the first time I met Chris Dyer was when he had a video camera pointed at me asking me questions.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, so many people, people love his realness. I
Yeah.
love that about him too, you know, and that's the thing is like, I'm not very regular. I look at Chris and every time I see Chris's posts, I'm like, dang, I didn't post again today, you know? It's like getting into kind of a habit, but that's a business. Look at what he's created.
Totally.
The art of storytelling and like being able to share that journey inspiringly is kind of yeah, I don't know. We're all these characters, and the more we can document it in a fun way, it's like we're building history of this generation, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's our culture.
You know, Xavi, I think a fun thing to do too is like on Instagram. I don't do it that much, but do Instagram interviews. Like just get on a call, like you and I could do that, you know, and then it feeds the algorithms more
Like
people.
IGTV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Video content is kind of the wave of the future.
Mhm.
2019 was the year that the static post died and video took over.
Yeah, kind of true. Who's getting into the reels yet on Instagram? I'm just like, oh, that looks like so much work.
Reels?
Yeah.
No, I just do stories on Instagram. I barely ever post.
It's under, where are reels?
I tried it the other day. I got a little confused. Mark had a good one. Like, yeah, you're on it. Tell us more.
Tell us more, Mark.
It's like, yeah, TikTok. Yeah, go ahead.
It's Instagram's new feature that is to compete with TikTok, but it's just like creating a story for Instagram, but you can add music to what you're doing, and you can create edits you can use like different clips of videos to make a 15-second clip and set it to music. So people are using it in all different creative ways, but you can take any video clip on your camera roll and just, you know, set basically any track that, you know, it'll search through a huge catalog of music that you can add to it. And Instagram's just pushing it really hard right now. So the posts do get a lot of views and a lot of engagement, it's great.
Where does it live on the navigation?
If you update to the newest release of Instagram, which came out last week, it's the same place where you would go to make a story or go live. It's right in there. It's like live, stories, or reels.
Gotcha.
And you could add stickers the same way as a story, GIFs, like all that kind of stuff. It's fun.
Very good. Thanks.
Yeah, those kinds of new things that come out totally can give you a big boost for free. And then also, you know, just I found it's crazy. The Vision Train Instagram account went from, I think it had around 1,000 followers when Hani and Karen and Emma all started, and we all started like really populating it. And now it has what, 7,000 or more. And it's like that engagement with all the different, everybody engage. It's the engagement, right? That's really sharing it. And Mark, what are you doing? Are you carving it looks like, are you carving is that a
Board.
butternut squash?
Yeah, it's a butternut squash.
Nice.
What do you?
He's a vegetable carver. It's not a pumpkin yet. It's not time for pumpkins.
Yeah, so I do professional pumpkin carving when I'm not painting, and I don't have pumpkins yet, so I thought I'd get some practice in with a squash.
Wow.
It's gonna be a
Cool.
mushroom.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, frog sitting on some mushrooms.
Yes.
That's that's amazing.
Thanks. Amanda, have you seen any of my pumpkin work?
I don't think I have.
I'll have to tag you in some pieces.
Yeah,
It's like
please.
it's next level. You have to see these. It's like it's not your average pumpkin carving. It's like pure sculpture.
Do you have them on your Instagram? Oh, they're maniac pumpkins. Nice. Very cool. Well, it's we're sneaking up on that time of year.
Yeah. So Amanda, is that it for the interview type vibe?
How you? Yeah, I think so. I think we've threaded into conversation on.
Right. Cool.
But so awesome, Xavi. I mean, I've learned more, and I'm so excited to, yeah, see what you're gonna do next, and also like that school just blows my mind. I mean, I saw about the school, but I didn't know like more of the story with the school, like
Oh yeah.
how in the neighborhood and how they feed like 3 meals a day, organic food.
It's the poorest people in the valley. The school's 97% Latino, and it's it's serving the underprivileged kids in the area. So it's pretty fantastic.
That inspires me so much more, even like the visual though, and it all together. I mean, it needs to be spotlit, like press needs to be made. I
I
hope.
wanted to do that. I just haven't, because I was hoping we could get it featured in a design magazine or get some news coverage of it, because it's really a great story. It has all the kind of layers and levels of a interesting story based on what the school is actually doing is what's really going on. And then the mural is kind of like the outer voice of it. So I think it's huge and it's big, and I would hope to get some press from it, but I kind of would need help with that part of it. And the school is kind of not really on top of doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we need to just put together a little press pack, maybe like something really, it doesn't have to be much, and send it to some newspapers and some magazines.
yeah, they already produced a press kit for it. It's online.
Where can
So,
we find it?
well, we'd need to update it because their press kit only had the original concept art of it. It doesn't have the finished photos. So, yeah, that would need to be updated. Yeah, like there hasn't been an actual drone footage video made of the school with music and logos on the video. Like there hasn't been an official video produced of the whole site. I'm just like not on top of that game.
Jen says, send it to me. So yeah, I mean, let us know, like when you have that together, you're like, okay, now help me send it to the right people. I'll totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could be painting schools across the nation.
Exactly. That's what we need to do.
And where I'm hiring the people to do it, you know, artists getting hired and learning how to paint, you know, murals. So.
It takes us back to the conversation we were having before you came on, Xavi, even with like, what can we do? Alondra, like we were literally just talking about these like actionable things that can be done in the world that are contributing to the solution. And this is a huge part of that. And I feel like it was the perfect timing where, you know, you showing us your work. And I don't know, it's just so inspiring. And I love that idea of painting more schools.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I need PR help with the school because it's a powerful message. And I think there should be a nationwide trend of more of these public buildings where kids are going being painted super neat, you know. And they've got the, you know, the city councils and the boards, they have budgets for that kind of stuff, you know.
Nice.
Well, it's time. We'll look forward to all the things that will sprout out of this. Xavi, when you need help amplifying stuff, when you need assistance, anything, come to the train.
Cool.